All right. Good afternoon, everybody, once again. And for people that are joining us from different parts of the world, we want to basically say hello. Thank you so much for joining another Ace Creative community meeting where we gather creative and tech professionals together and we share relevant knowledge and information for people to be relevant in the creative and tech ecosystem. Now, if you're attending our meetings for the first time, the Ace Creative Academy or Ace Creative community is a community of creative and tech professionals where we train people and we drive relevant conversations to make creative and tech professionals relevant and sought after in the creative and tech ecosystem. Now, the Ace Creative Academy, which powers the community, basically has a physical academy in Lagos, Nigeria, and where they train creative professional in graphic design, web development, UI UX professional, UI UX design, software development, both front and back end. And the website is going to be dropped by the chief operating officer on the link right now. And beyond that, we basically have a creative and tech community in which we have creative and tech professionals across various messaging platforms like WhatsApp and Instagram in a total of over 1,500. And in those WhatsApp group, creative and tech professionals basically collaborate. Now, the link to join the WhatsApp community is also going to be dropped on the link, and also the Telegram community. Now, on those groups, we basically drop various, if you have any problems as a creative professional concerning designing a particular logo, or you have a software developer, front-end developer, where you have problems coding those HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, just drop those codes. There's always somebody there to attend to you. Or you're a cinematographer, a videographer, and you have any problem, the community is a place basically to be. Like I said earlier on, across all our platforms, we have over 1,500 creative and tech professionals. Beyond that, we also post various job opportunities. In the last, I believe, 4 years that the community has existed, which was founded in the community and the academy, which was founded in 2018. We have created over 100 jobs for creative and tech professionals, and we've had tremendous, amazing testimonies. Now, as part of what we do in the community is that we have important meetings like these training sessions for community members or for people at large in the creative and tech ecosystems, where we train and we prepare creative and tech professionals for the year. Hence, while we are having today's session, and I'm glad that we are all here. Now, the topic we're going to be taking for today's session, which is a two-part session, which is how to grow your creative and tech business. Now, the first session we're going to be having is today's session, where we're going to be having a powerful and very, very important person that I respect so much, which I'm going to be introducing shortly. He's going to be teaching us how to build your creative and tech business, how to grow your creative and tech business. And by tomorrow, which is 5 p.m. GMT +1 or West African time, we're going to be having Boluwatife, which is a lady. She's going to be taking us on a practical session. And in that session, we'll be learning understanding brand identity. In that session, she's going to be teaching us using software like Illustrator, how to create a brand identity for your system, from logo to various brand identity sessions. So that is going to be a bit much more practical session where you get your hands dirty. But most importantly, for you to grow your creative and tech business, you have to have some information and knowledge. Then you also have to understand how to build a brand and a brand identity. So she's going to be handling that session tomorrow. But for today, we're going to be having an amazing speaker, somebody I respect so much, and I'm going to be reading his profile. Now, before I read his profile and introduce him, I want to share my own personal experience with him, and I like sharing it anytime I invite him, basically. Now, I had an encounter with him once beyond the numerous personal experience I have with him that really changed my business, hence why I'm inviting him. So I remember, and then I'll quickly introduce him, then we get started. So I remember, and the reason why I'm sharing this personal story is so that you pay close attention. Mr. Arno, please, can you post the link for tomorrow's meeting by 5 p.m.? So he's going to be doing right now. So just click that link by 5 p.m. tomorrow and you will join. Now, the reason I'm sharing this, my personal experience with him, with you, is so that you will be able to pay attention and know that what the person we're bringing is someone that is fully loaded, and he's not just going to teach us. He's going to teach us from his own personal experience. Now, I remember one time that I was privileged to work with him to officiate a particular event. And I remember after that event, when we were both done, which was a privilege on my own part, we were coming home together. And I remember he basically told he got into his SUV with his driver driving, and I was like, Demola, hop on, let me drop you at the next bus stop, which would lead me back to my office. And I remember he sat me down and he was like, so what do you do as a business? And I remember basically telling him what I do. I'm a graphic artist, web designer, software developer, front-end developer, digital marketing professional. I told him what my company does and all that. And he asked me a very simple question that changed my life forever. He said, the website that you build, what is the highest that you've built so far? And me feeling cool, I was like, okay, the highest website I've built, roughly in Nigerian Naira, which is where the country that I worked from then, was 2.5 million naira, feeling cool and all that. And he said, interesting. And he said something. He said, well, for the agency I work with, the minimum we charge for a website, I can never forget, that we work on is 15 million naira and 15 million naira. And it shocked me. I was like, oh my God. Are you getting what I'm saying right now? And what that did was that it made me understand the fact that, irrespective of the fact that my company created this similar value with what he does, obviously there are more value that they create that we basically don't offer. Now, this changed my business perspectives for life, meaning, and that's why we're bringing him on board. He's been able to grow a business of, thank God he has to put on this video, a business from a small scale, from a small business to something that, like I said, when I was feeling cool with 3.5, the minimum they were doing then, now take note, this was over 5-6 years ago that we had this conversation. They were doing 15 million naira, and I was humbled. Beyond humble, like I said, it just changed my value system as regards business. So anytime, hence why the reason why we're bringing him on board today, basically there's a lot of things he knows I believe he wants to share. So Mr. Wale Ekundayo, thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly read his profile right now. And when I read his profile, basically, sorry for the background noise. My son is somewhere around the corner with his phone and is about to jump on the bed. So if you're watching this, I'm babysitting today. So if you see somebody jumping on the bed behind me, that's my son. His name is AJ. All right, so bear with him. He does this a lot. Okay, so Mr. Wale Ekundayo Mr. Wale Ekundayo is a market and communication CEO and vice president of digital innovation and a football enthusiast. As a marketing expert, Mr. Wale Ekundayo is the founder and is the current vice president of Cerebral Media Africa, which is a marketing communication agency. And one thing with this agency that I know is an advertising agency, basically. And one thing the agency basically does is that they are into what we call technology when it comes to building technologicals and advertising products across Nigeria and West Africa. With over 25 years of experience in the industry, he has amassed vast knowledge and insights in marketing and communication. And since Cerebral Africa is strategically located in 3 West African countries, Mr. Wale Ekundayo has worked with leading global brands and content brands looking to reach all over Africa. Now, I'm going to be skipping a bit. Basically, Mr. Wale Ekundayo has worked with brands like ExxonMobil, Microsoft, Nigeria, First Bank of Nigeria, EcoBank, Wema Bank, Hygiene HMO, Velisco, House of Chi, and so many, Pepsi Nigeria breweries, and so many brands. One of Mr. Wale's notable achievements is he was running an activation for Unilever, Lifebuoy, in which, I remember that particular story, in which they were able to hit the Guinness Book of Record as the largest number of children, which is a campaign for Unilever Lifebuoy, as the largest number of children washing their hands at the same time in a global hand wash day. So that company was able to run a campaign that hit the Guinness Book of World Record. He is a football fan. He founded what we call a football academy. You get to what I'm saying right now, Lille FC, and he's a man of many colors. I don't want to delve into other things. I know he does. Basically, that I'm privileged to that I know he does. So please, I'm going to be opening the floor to Mr. Wale. Mr. Wale, thank you so much for joining the academy. It's great to have you, and thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it so much. Please pardon my son at the background. This is what happens when you work from home. You get to me something that COVID has done. Right? It's something that COVID has done to us, basically, where we work from home. they disturb us somewhere in the background. So please, we are here to listen to you. Thank you so much for coming, sir. And you have the floor, sir. So after his conversation, we're going to be having a question and answer after. So drop a question on the group. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for having me. I remember that particular conversation in the car. Anyways, so let's start out. How to grow your creative business, and I like to tell stories. As much as I'd created a PowerPoint presentation, all right, which I'd shared with him, I would rather just look through and then basically just keep chipping in from time to time. So everybody talks about the Nigerian market and talks about the potential of the Nigerian market. One of the fundamentals of the Nigerian market is the fact that we have over $4.4 billion in terms of marketing. But what does it really mean to people? Because every time we speak about numbers, we've got to put it in context of what it actually means to people. All right, you might have a potential for a market, but the purchasing power in that market is not as large, you know. But Nigeria has one of the highest potential for purchasing power. So you look at that, and then you look at over 75% in terms of internet penetration. But some of these things will be tested. Case in point is that there are the opportunities. But then again, if you have 75% in terms of internet penetration, how come most people are not able to open their apps today? You know, using the banking apps, for instance. So everybody knows what's going on in Nigeria right now because of the cash exchange and all of that. There's a whole lot of pressure being put on the resources of people in terms of having to open their banking apps until they can make transactions. Now, that's on the side. Because every time you speak about figures, you've got to put that figure in context of the possibility, all right? The possibility of what could happen. So the creative economy, so to speak, cuts across this spectrum. First of all, you talk about film industry, you talk about music. Let me give you an example of the film industry. A young man who used to run a digital advertising agency. All right, can you hear me? Everybody can. Somebody's saying that you can't hear. I'm hoping that I'm loud. Can you all hear me? Please just let me know before I continue. All right, because people are. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Loud and clear.
All right, because somebody says they couldn't, so I was wondering what's going on. All right, let me go ahead. So we've got the film industry, and you can see how that industry has evolved. Back then, there used to be the likes of Baba who would shoot movies, and people would watch. You will see the likes of the Yoruba movies, even the Igbo movies and all of that on cassette players and all of that. But they've changed the entire game. Inkblot, for instance, has come in, and they're quite, some of them used to be a digital advertising agency, but they started shooting commercials and realized that there is a lot more potential with what they are doing, because if you're a digital advertising agency, the tendency for you is to tell stories. You'll be telling stories even when it comes to advertising. You'll be telling stories in terms of coming up with copies for social media and all of that. So the creative industry is quite dynamic, very dynamic, and has a bigger potential for a whole lot of things to happen. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, so we're looking at, go to the slide where we have the creative economy. So these are monetary values, and these values are a whole lot more than what we're seeing right now. Now you see that everybody is looking inwards or looking towards Africa in terms of what the potential is, for whatever it is that they need to derive. So can you go to the next slide where we have the creative economies? Because I wanted to just quickly, thank you very much. So the film industry in 2005, according to World Bank figures, officially overtook both Hollywood and Bollywood to become the third largest film industry. That is 2005. Now you will see the potential now that even Netflix, what's it called, Amazon, are paying Nigerians to create content for them to be put, which is like Netflix original, what's it called, Amazon original kind of movies, because they believe in our story. They believe in the authenticity and the originality in our story. You clearly see what has happened with music itself. Music has gone global. You've seen a lot of people who are joining conversations, not just with, what's it called now, not just with just Nigerians. You know, there was a time I went to South Africa, and then part of what we're supposed to do, we went to an event, and most of the music they were playing were all Nigerian music, like from beginning to the end. You go into the UK today, even at the airports, you're hearing Nigerian, and you're seeing some of them even creating content now and putting Nigerian music in it. So it goes to show the potential of the creative, the economy that we're in right now. Now, let's even talk about content creation. Let's talk about fashion. You know, I used to buy my pants, all right, from some guy in Nigeria. And I'd always wondered why the guy would charge me in pounds. So he would say this in pounds. And then he says that he's actually been exporting, you know, some of his wares abroad. No, and this guy wouldn't see you. He doesn't need to see you. Just give him the measurement, your waist and your length, and then he would come up with a really good pants that would fit you. So you see people use the likes of Adire, for instance, they use the likes of Ashoke to design and give a different feel to what we know or what we used to know to be like somewhat of a stereotype. You see Nigerians break records even with TikTok and all of those things. Now, there's a whole lot more. That's the creative economy. What we have right now is huge in itself until we begin to harness all of these things, because within one particular space, you can have a whole lot more. Now, you understand, we have the feature-length film where you can watch for 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours. Sometimes they break it into series. Now, there are a whole lot more people coming up with several other things that within a short period of time, 5 minutes, you can pass the message and it will be solid. Now, content are being bought almost like gold mine. You would recall, I mean, you would, if you're very active on Twitter, you will see that now Twitter have decided to start paying people for comments that are being made under certain posts that has gone viral, because they realize that it's not enough for people to just create content by themselves, but now they can now start paying people who are, all right, contributors to your content. Now the world has changed completely. You can be wherever it is that you are and begin to earn a whole lot more, all right, than what you're currently earning right now. So how do you grow your business? And this is the point at which we're talking. I mean, that's the crux of the matter. So it's not enough to actually do all these creative things. And one of the major challenge I have with creative people is that they are their own worst critic. So every time they do anything, they criticize themselves to the point where they would not allow themselves to actually even expose their work outside. All right. So let's go to the next slide, which is the creativity and tech, the midpoint. You know, let me just dwell a little bit on that. Creativity and tech. No, the nitty-gritty. So creativity is the bedrock of any brilliant idea. So, and creativity does not necessarily mean that you are creating something from scratch. I mean, we use one of the biggest tool in creation, which is the fact that we use the 6 thinking arts. So if you wanted to create something, you've got to go through the process of, first of all, the information, which is gathering information about a particular subject matter. You use the grain art to create the thing itself, which means, what exactly am I trying to create? I want to create this, and then you use the grain arts to come and form those things. So for instance, I want to make this pen, for instance. What do I need? I need acrylic, I need this, I need battery, I need something that will charge itself, I need magnets, I need ceramic and all of that. Now that is information gathering. So when you're talking about creativity, what is the nitty-gritty? The nitty-gritty becomes information that is necessary for you to create the thing. Now you need to create. So the creativity is the bedrock of any brilliant idea. Nothing in itself exists by themselves other than you piecing ideas from different space. All right. So let me give you an example. People are evolving organizations on the backdrop of one thing. You know, when you look at TikTok, for instance, TikTok wasn't just TikTok until Instagram came to be, until Snapchat came to be, until YouTube came to be. It's a fusion of all of these things because they realized that a lot of people have a short attention span. And so they wanted to create content that would allow people to understand with text. So you can create the videos and then create with text. So they were using Twitter, they were using Snapchat, they were using Instagram, and then they formed the idea. Now, that idea was in existence in all those different platforms. It's just that somebody then had to come and piece everything together. So when you begin to look at your life right now, and you begin to look at the things that you're doing right now, the idea for breakthrough is already within what it is that you're doing right now. All you just need to do is to gather the information from the different space and piece them together. You know, one of the, I mean, they make a joke about Wale Ekundayo, who is one of the, who is a Nobel laureate. And then they say things like, how is it able to come up with concepts, all right, in English that you cannot fault, and you can't say there is a grammatical error in the things that he has said, because he had an understanding of the Yoruba language very deeply, and then mixed it up with the English that, you know, you went to learn, and then used things like proverbs to translate into direct English, and then, you know, it became original to him. So some of the things that we need to get into that space will be already in existence. So creativity is the bedrock of brilliant ideas. And as a matter of fact, to excel in the capital market, creativity has to be what's inexhaustible. Because in a space where everyone has similar ideologies about providing, so, you know, ever since Kuda came, I mean, for those who are in Nigeria, ever since Kuda Bank came into Nigeria, or before them was Fair Money, before them was Rent Money, before them were microfinance banks, all right? They've always been in existence, all right? And so people then started charting the cost to say, instead of doing the brick and mortar, the normal brick and mortar, can we turn this entire thing into what we call what's it called, a technology bank? So there's that evolution into a technology bank that without you having to know if there is a physical office, all right, you are able to still do business and transact in every sense of the way. So tech, on the other hand, can be used to enhance user experience. Please note that tech is not a business, because a lot of people begin to think that tech in itself is business. Tech is not business. It is just a vehicle to drive your business. There must be an existing business in yourself, which is there must be, you know, a lot of people sometimes, and most of the time, people come to me and ask me, come and invest in my company and all of that. And then they focus a whole lot more on the technology that drives the business and leaving the business behind. So somebody came recently and then shared a powerful idea with me. And I was like, this idea is really good. But have you tested around this thing that you're talking about? Because you can have a powerful idea, leave the idea and start chasing technology. So technology is meant to enhance the business. So if you see my screen right now, somebody actually created this avatar, all right, for me at my workplace, all right? It's my face, but they created a different version of it. Now, back then, somebody has to sit down and draw for hours, all right, for them to do a caricature of yourself, all right? And it was a noble job. Even people still are, still looking at illustrators today, all right? People who can illustrate and draw and do all of those things. Fantastic idea. Now, AI has changed the entire game. Now there are software solutions that when you put that, your picture into a software, it can modify your face. So it makes obsolete everyone who was skilled in drawing. So the dynamics of our lives still remains that there is an original space, original idea that stems from information gathering. How do we remain relevant? How do we grow our creative community, our creative work, right, in the space of where we are right now? So irrespective of the fact that these two concepts stand alone, there is a midpoint that fuels the growth of any business. There is a midpoint. There is always going to be a midpoint: creativity and technology. Creativity, and these are classic example. So you see, what's it called now? The Adobe suite, for instance, and there is a copy.ai, and these are solutions, all right? But these things help you to facilitate your creativity, but in itself, they are not creative. They are just tools, all right? You need to have tools that help facilitate this concept. So I can be here, for instance, and create a vision, and I create concepts to you in your mind that shows what I'm about to do in 2023, even though those things are not in existence. So where we get to is this: the midpoint is that you've got to, first of all, chase the entire thing of what it is that you want to do. You've got to create that thing in your mind. You've got to see it clearly in your mind. This is the first point of call. Envision how these things will work. When you see a Tesla, for instance, what's his name now? The guy that runs Tesla, all right, he will tell you of what the potential is. He's talking right now about cancer, curing cancer, that there is a way in which these things can be done. Now it starts with the imaging. Just like any creative work, if you want to do any PowerPoint presentation, if you want to do any, illustration or graphics or whatever it is, you must have a clearer picture of what it is that you're doing. Now, this is where creative people actually miss it. And so they are not able to defend their works most of the time. So a creative person comes and then just says, this thing is fine, let me just do it like that, and then everybody will be all right, which is one of the things they say. Last, everybody will be all right. The truth about the matter is that if you put a little bit more thought into that creation, you are able to defend, and whoever it is that is buying, all right, from you, whatever the idea is, they understand that a thought process had gone through this thing. So you didn't just wake up to say, let's just do these things because it's going to be fine. We did it because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there is some sense of submission when you show that you have thought through the process. So a lot of the time, most people don't tend to think through whatever it is that they are doing, and they try to back it up with technology. So somebody comes with an idea and says, you know what, we can fly from here to Makurdi. How do we do it with technology? But beyond it, is there a market for that? Is there truly a market for people flying from here to Makurdi? If there is none, you can have your technology, but there will be no passengers. All right. I was opportune to be at Aero Contractors recently. You know, they had been repossessed by Amcon, and we're talking about how to rebrand and all of that. And then they were talking about, you know, how the aviation fuel is a major problem. And they were so stuck on a certain aspect of their business, which is carrying corporates. Nobody does group chartering anymore. If anybody is doing that right now, it's a waste of money and a waste of company resources. If 2 people or 3 people have to go on a trip, all right, to go and seal a deal, then maybe they are not competent enough. And so you begin to look at and rework some of these concepts that we already know or that we've come to believe in our lives. So where do they meet? Where does creativity meet with technology? So technology has further presented a new platform for creativity to thrive. I mean, back then we couldn't do much when we're doing PowerPoint presentation. It was bland, it was straight, and it was almost the same thing. Now you have, you know, different manipulative tools to be able to do the things that you can do. So our reality is shifting towards an even more outstanding time to be a creator. We work with a company called Salam Nigeria. They're a global business, all right? Now they've created a platform on the metaverse, all right? They've created a platform on the metaverse that allows people to do the things that they need to do. And you begin to see the dynamics of how things work even in that same space. So it's important that we understand what our lives are evolving to do. So we've gotten to that point where if you are not in a particular state when it comes to creativity, you will seriously lose out. And how do you do that? Creating that balance. So the first point of call is that you are creating a system that allows people not just to do business, but also to be profitable with the business. All right? How do you become profitable with that? You create a niche for yourself. How do you create a niche for yourself? What are your strong suits? All right, you've got to look at those strong space. So when Cerebre was starting out in the advertising space, one of the first things we did was to understand that a lot of people are in that space currently. So if a lot of people are in that space, what do we need to do as an organization? Because people were thinking about just eyeballs. So they talk about, where your advert is on the billboard on Third Mainland Bridge, and so they are happy about that. So beyond that, what do we need to do? Then we realized that a lot of people were thinking about conversion. So even as a tech and as a creative person, look beyond, in my space, which is the advertising organization right now. People will create fantastic ideas. I'm not talking about graphics. I'm talking about thinking through processes, and they will be so excited about it. They will shout, Mado, this is good, and they are happy about that. But beyond those things, are those things able to translate into actual cash? Because there will be a lot of frustration and gnashing of teeth if you are not translating your ideas into actual cash. And that's where a lot of people are missing it when it comes to creativity. So our reality is shifting from towards an even more outstanding time to be a creator, a time where technology doesn't inhibit creators, but aids the creative process. Now, you can do all of these things. There was a time we were trying to buy a land on the metaverse for what's it called now? For First Bank, all right? And, it was quite some amount. It was almost $2 million, for buying that particular land on the metaverse. And that's just buying the land without having to even create the things that are in there. And then there's another conversation on the 5G network, because you can't access it, and all of that, and people are going to build. Now, this is the dynamics of where we are getting into, and these are the things that we're doing even in this space right now. So let's move on very quickly to the next slide, all right? So when we begin to look at these dynamics, we begin to walk in the reality of it. Now, we talk about Meta. Of course, everybody knows that it's no longer Facebook, it's now Meta, all right? We have YouTube now. We have, what's it called? Spotify, which is like a production company. Just yesterday, Don Jazzy spoke about the fact that, you can actually do splits in terms of music. So rather than just listening to music, now you can actually do be an investor in a music company. So you might be excited about just, we're excited about listening to this music. Now they are bringing distribution aspects to it that everybody then needs to key into it. It used to be, I'm sure you guys know that there used to be a different type of revolution where we have the industrial age. Now we're in the information space where every single thing seems like gold, all right, to us. So let's go. So we're looking at Meta, which is formerly Facebook. We're looking at YouTube now, and now content and benefiting from that content. All right, that there are two different things. So there's a subscription that is being done that you're benefiting from, and there's several other things. So what's the gold mine? Next slide, please. So what exactly is the gold mine? At the center of all these changes in how creators do what they do is technology. So behind every advancement in tech is a desire to tell stories. And I think I've made mention of this. Today, we can sit back, turn on Netflix and begin to watch Netflix. But somebody must have put that content in there. Netflix is not Netflix by itself. It can just have a platform, but without the content, then there will be nothing. So what exactly do you need to start positioning yourself for, all right, to be a partaker of the things that are good? So fortunately, these things can also help help your business grow, all right, by reaching buyers. So we may never know what comes. Do you know, for instance, there's a platform called Trivia. Not Trivia, it's called Fever. How many of you are aware of Fever, all right? It's a co-working platform where you can actually compose songs, you can write copies for people, all right, without you having, and you can earn in dollars. And these things are potentials that, you know, would change the entire game, all right, of how we used to think things would be. So we never may know what comes first, tech or the demand for content. The two worlds works in tandem and influence each other. All right. So first of all, it's got to be about that. So let us follow the trend. What's the next big thing? Next slide. What's the next big thing? So the next big thing in simple terms is the concept of the metaverse revolves around making virtual experience as real and interactive as possible. Demela here, for instance, is somewhere outside of Nigeria. I am here, all right, in Nigeria. I'm not sure where each and every one of you who are participating are right now. And that's the big idea. Now, gradually, we're getting into that level of experience where you can literally create now. I mean, I'm here, you can see my background and all of that, or I can even create something that allows you to see whatever it is that I want you to see. All right, we're beginning to create that mind shift. So when you begin to think about, all right, a world whereby it's just 2D graphics, begin to think again. Because in this world, you've got to begin to upgrade yourself every single day, catching up, which is what we call follow the trend. In following the trend, there are certain dynamics that you must experience as an individual if you're going to win, not just in 2023, in the future. All right. You know, I took my children one time to some place where they were having a virtual experience and all of that. And because one of my older son had done that before, he said he didn't want to do because the thing was too real for him, possibly even traumatized him. And these things are not real because you are living in a world. You're just putting Oculus on your face, and then you're seeing a different dimension, which you now believe is your new reality. So the next big thing is to follow the trend, because the direction in which people are going shows you what the next phase will be. All right. So what's the future ahead? What exactly is the future ahead? First of all, next slide, we had brick and mortar. So we had brick and mortar. Alexa, all right. We have brick and mortar. This is how it started out. And everybody was happy. If you had a what's it called now? If you had an office, you know, people were measuring banks with offices. You know, we have what's it called now? 150 branches. That thing became a liability to them. On the wake of what's it called now? COVID, people started. I mean, banks were shutting down because they couldn't manage their operations and overheads and all of those things. Now we're beginning to see a new thinking, and then we moved into digital, which is brand influencing. And that's been done a whole lot. You know, when Mr. Demola was telling me about, you know, the creative community that has been created with over 1,000 people on different platforms. And I'm like, wow, this is massive. So you're looking at a digital space that allows you, which is in 2000 till date, that has evolved. I remember those people who used to be on To Go, all right? People who used to be on i5. Now it's a different ballgame entirely, and it's evolving. The future that we speak of is now the metaverse, which is an experience of literally brick and mortar and digital. So you're combining two experiences, the brick and mortar experience and then the digital experience, appealing to your 5 physical senses. All right, and you know, they started out in different ways. We started out, for instance, when you go into the movies, you can sit down in a particular place and then the chair will rock almost like you are in the movie, and then there will be splash of water at different points in time, and then the sound is different, and then what you're seeing is different. It's almost like you can touch them, you know. And this is the dimension we're speaking of. The dimension we're speaking of is so deep that if we are not careful, we might actually miss out on it, because some of us have resigned to fate that we're only going to be graphics people, we're only going to be people who just code Java, and then that will be it. Next slide, which is second to my last slide. Next slide. So encoding and decoding is now important. So as creativity advances and new technologies emerge, the process of developing creative assets have become seamless and they are now very essential. You've got to begin to think about, all right, how to begin to have creative assets. These are the things that are critical to the next phase of our lives. All right, with tools readily available to scale up your creative business. All right, with less time-taking processes and no pro tools such as I'm sure you guys have talked about. You must have seen Chat GPT, which is the next phase. Google must have slept on that, and then here is coming very detailed search engine optimization, asking specific questions and giving you back, those things that you need. Slack, there's CapCut in terms of editing videos, and so you no longer have to take so much time. There's a new wave of content creators, people who have never handled cameras before in their lives, who have never done all of those things. All they have is a phone, and then they are using that to actually change the landscape completely. So creative businesses can now control the time it takes to create and now focus on the business side of things. This is where I'm getting into. Every creative person must begin to focus on the business side of things. We've lost a whole lot of money because creative people have refused to be on the business side of things. They would rather just be aware. I don't want trouble. I'm just a creative person. Let me outsource this aspect of it. And this is where, this is the place, this is the missing link. And this is one of the things that everybody then needs to get into the future. So you see QR codes, for instance, at events, in public places. You see it even at religious houses and all of that. People can transfer, even the guys who are, so to speak, Me-too sellers who don't even like any form of technology are now being forced to do those things. So if you look at the chart on the scale of adoption, the early birds, the laggards, and all of those things, you will see that we're at the latter stage and people are beginning to get into, all right, that dimension. All right. So yeah, pretty much I just wanted to share with you guys on what it takes to grow your creative agencies or creative outfits. Identify within yourself what the niche is. Use the technology that you have in existence to shorten your creative processes and advance the cost of what it is. Now, finally, focus on the business side of things. Thank you so much for having me. If there are any questions, I'd like to take them now. Any questions, guys?
Okay. Thank you so much for this powerful, amazing session. It was very, very insightful. So please, if you have any question for Mr. Ekundayo, please do us a great favor by dropping the question in the chat session. We are available to answer you. Thank you so much. So please, let's start dropping our question. Like I said earlier on, remember I promised that we will not take your time at all in this session. Mr. Ekundayo that we're having here is a very, very, very busy person. And I have a little glimpse of his schedule today. He has another appointment immediately after this meeting that, trust me, is super, super important. So he has a very short time here with us. So please, if you have any question, let's ensure that we drop on the chat session. But while we do that, I'm going to be asking him some personal question while we wait for people. Please, you can drop the question either on the chat session, or if you're in our community, WhatsApp, Telegram, you can also drop it there. I'll also be reading from there, basically to attend what to us. So please, let's drop our questions from what he has shared. Now, basically, I love the angle in which you came through, basically, allowing us understand the fact that as creative professionals, when it comes to the graph of industries that are leveraging on tech, I think we seem to be the least in the Arcada. Why? Because we've been focusing so much as creative professional, just in the creative side, but we've not been focusing on the business of business. And I totally agree with you. I mean, it's high time we start seeing people just going on a particular mobile app that is being owned by probably a creative community. And when you go on that mobile app, all you basically do is just drop it. Go to the mobile app, drop your thoughts and problem. You receive a prompt. Are you getting that pay? and in less than 2 hours, you get your logo being done or something like that. As in, it should be so seamless. I think creative professional, we are kind of like always the last to jump on that board because we have not been leveraging on tech. I know NFT did a couple of things for the creative industry as regards being able to sell your creative assets online, but we usually are always the last burner to jump on basically this trail. It's high time creative professionals start seeing how to use technology to enhance every area of their business, is basically leveraging on it to be able to get what more results. The financial industry has stepped into the game. The the film industry, like you said, has also stepped into the game. The advertising industry are beginning to jump into it, basically creating various campaign channels, advertising channels that is just beyond just the normal traditional market. They're not going digital, basically, and everybody's already jumping. But the creative industry, majorly design and some other angle, are now beginning to have AI taking over, and we're the last that is basically jumping on the trail, irrespective of how they get it. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So I want to just ask like the following question. So my first question goes like this. Now, it's obvious that the metaverse is the future. Now, based on major news that has been going on so far, especially as regards Facebook, where there was a little bit of cutback on the investment of Facebook on the metaverse, because I think the reality yet is that, based on what news outlets are saying, is that it's kind of like a technology that is ahead of its time. Why? Because 5G is not everywhere, and obviously to jump on the metaverse is not as cheap as possible. You understand what I'm saying right now, sir? And based on the conversation you've had, it's obvious that some industries are already beginning to jump into it. You spoke about one of your clients already buying land. I'm aware of some metaverse community that you can join, that you can actually start buying real estate. In fact, I know of, I don't want to mention names, so I don't advertise in public. I know of a particular virtual metaverse of the whole world. I don't want to mention the name of the company, whereby you can basically buy various cities. You can go to Nigeria and buy a land there. You can go to US and buy properties. They've only just removed major things like Washington, D.C., where the White House is, so you can buy the White House and all that. So you can literally, and they're really evolving, basically. So as creative professionals, how do you feel that we can start leveraging on that space, knowing fully well that it's like a whole new world entirely? What are the advices you can give us? You understand, sir?
I'm going to give the same advice that we're giving to a couple of other clients of ours, is to start creating assets in that same space. So without you having to even buy anything, we don't need to start with a land. So MTN had bought one already, right? As a global organization, and they started creating that. So my organization that I also work for, were on retainers with them. Salam Nigeria used to be First Bank Insurance, is already on Metaverse as well. And they are using that. So rather than wait for 5G to come through to you, you can literally have all those things in existence, which is what we speak about, which is creation of assets. So as an individual, if you still want to be a graphics person, for instance, which I doubt will be in existence because of existing tools that are now available. You know, you can, even now on what's it called, on WhatsApp, I can create my own avatar. Right now, these were not in existence, but were they in existence before now? Yes. So what we have is that it's almost like certain people chart the course for the future and wait till you catch up with it. And that's always going to be, there are people who call the early adopters when it comes to any form of technology. You know, people were never going to accept touch screen. I don't know if you remember when we have keypad. And people, then they started saying that we're going to have touchscreen, there won't be no keypad. And people were wondering, how are we going to type with the QWERTY thing and all of that? And all of a sudden, it's almost as though there was those things were not in existence anymore. So every time people talk about the future is now. The moment is birthed now. The moment that idea comes down, that's the future. And so we need to start creating assets and preparing ourselves for that. There were those times where Microsoft Word was the biggest thing that could happen. There were schools, you know, when you finish secondary school, you just go to a computer school and all of those things. Now, those things are obsolete right now because you can't literally learn from whatever it is, children are learning those things without them having to do that. So the future right now is now. The future is now. The moment the idea comes, you begin to create assets to begin to get into that same space. Otherwise, even a traditional digital agency will be obsolete. That's what's happening to the advertising agencies of then, because they were constantly thinking of, we do all of these things, and then they were happy with that. Now, the biggest in terms of media buying is no longer billboards. People are spending almost R1 billion a day on Google Ads. Almost R1 billion or over R1 billion. I'm talking Nigeria, I'm not talking anywhere else. In Nigeria, one agency is buying media ad for R1 billion a day. This has never been in existence, and they didn't need to send POs. So they are changing the game completely from what we used to think it is,
Wow. I think this is informative, and that's one of the reasons why basically we brought you here, so that you can give us an aspect of the industry that a lot of us did not even know basically what exists. A lot of us did not even know basically exists. Media buying that is worth billions. I remember as a creative entrepreneur, then I was thinking that, okay, the Nigerian creative industry basically is what this billions of naira. But I remember when I had the privilege to basically enter the advertising world, I discovered that that's like a whole different world entirely, where there's a lot of money that goes inside basically to push products and to push content. Now I'm going to be, I have like 3 other questions to ask you, because I know we don't have much time with you, but let me go back down to the question of people that we have basically. Now, are they your job? So this is what I'm going to be doing right now, because we are very practical. If you want to ask Mr. Ekundayo a question yourself and you don't want to put it on the chat, you can raise up your hand. We're going to allow you to turn on your audio and basically ask him a personal question, but please make sure it is worthwhile. Don't ask him that, Mr. Ekundayo, where did you buy those trousers that you gave us? You told us about in pounds. Please make sure the questions are worthwhile. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So, hello, sir. Thank you for putting this session together. I've learned quite much. I'm a pharmacist and a creative professional. I want to ask, how does SME creative professional leverage on the changing landscape? Conventional wisdom will say that we need to be a lifelong learner and adapt to changes, but in the middle of trying to make ends meet, which is the reality of Nigeria and West Africa at the moment, you understand, and trying to grow your business, how can this be practical to learn up and catch up with this innovation that is going on? So he's saying that he's a pharmacy, you understand, and also a creative professional. I understand that we have lawyers and creative professionals too, you understand, and also printers in the industry. But they're saying that with this evolving, changing world, you understand, how would they be able to leverage on this changing landscape, basically?
Okay, so leveraging on the changing landscape is and you've got to follow thought leaders, people who are already at a particular point, which is, so let me give you an instance right now. So everybody's driving a lot of cars in Nigeria. A lot of cars powered by fuel, powered by petrol, which is, giving everybody carbon monoxide everywhere. Now, the future is, what's it called now? The future is not just hybrid, the future is electric. Now, no matter how much we talk about it and all of that, people are still buying millions, using millions of naira to buy cars. So when I say follow thought leaders, where is that particular point where everybody's going to? If it's which is why my presentation went straight to metaverse. So and we're not there yet. So in the journey to metaverse, there are a lot of changing dynamics that will get you to this particular point. That particular point you need to get to then means that there are certain skill sets that you need that are in the middle, all right, for you to be able to get to that point. So instead of you changing with trends or changing with people, you're changing with the needed skill sets into the future. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So let's say I'm going from point A to point Z. That point Z that I'm getting into, it seems afar. It seems far off. What are the skill sets you need to get to that Z? Although people are still talking about basic things right now, it's almost a taboo that anybody who is applying for a job right now would not know how to use Excel or Word or PowerPoint. But the truth about the matter is that life has even gone beyond those things. But does that mean that you don't need it? Yes, you do. So whatever skill sets you need right now, and I understand the dynamics of you being a pharmacist and then evolving into what it is, you're a creative person. In fact, I would tell people that those are the people that we need in this industry. The pharmacists, because they are combining wealth of knowledge from different aspects of life and bringing that dynamics into this space. You know, for instance, we work for IGIHMO. They've been on retainers with us for quite a while now, all right? And some dynamics in terms of coming up with content, all right? Only a science student will understand it. That their content is not generic. Their content is not Happy Father's Day or Happy Mother's Day. It's deeper than that. It's talking about health. It's talking about your body. It's talking about so anybody who is in social sciences might not necessarily even understand the depth of it. And so every knowledge, yes, you're going to be a lifelong, that's the normal cliche and all of that. You're going to be a lifelong learner, but you can actually accelerate that process and go to the point where you know that there are less people going into this same space. If you talk about Scrum Master, for instance, not everybody is getting Scrum Master certification. But is that what we need? Is that the necessary skill we need right now? Yes, it's what we need. Are people ready to put in the rigor to do it? I doubt that very much. You being a business owner would never go out of fashion. So which is why I said that you should never forget that being a creative person is not enough. You've got to pick up other skill sets that allows you to be relevant even into the future. All right? Nigeria is going through a lot of trouble now in terms of the IT space. And we need developers. What's going on today is not rocket science, other than if they get 10 serious developers who know what they are doing, they will fix the entire problem. I hope I've answered that question.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There are two things that you've been buttressing on, and I want to break it down to members so they understand. So meaning that what, irrespective of where you are today, most of the future that we're talking about, as much as it is now, are you getting me now? The acceleration is not yet there yet. So and when you follow thought leaders, start strategically positioning yourself for that. So for example, I, as a creative professional, I've started learning 3D designs. You understand that I might not be a 3D design professional right now. Are you getting me now? In fact, I don't even plan to even commercialize that skill. You understand what I'm saying right now, basically, personally. But I know that 3D is the future in advertising and also for the metaverse. So I'm already learning it so that when that time comes, I have a niche. My wife is also taking some course already in tech because she's an administrator, for example, data science, because it is the future. You understand? So irrespective of whichever space you're operating in right now, even though you're a pharmacy and you're a creative professional, you'll still be needed in future in the metaverse, in the area of pharmaceutical, but you still need to be learning technologies that will be used then, whether in the area of software development, in the area of UX and all that. So that's one. Then number two, in the area of creative assets, I'm just trying to buttress on what Mr. Ekundayo said. Now, whatever assets you are transferring into the metaverse has to start from now. So let's say, for example, you're a photographer. Do you have a photography website? Are you selling your photography online? Whereby by the time the metaverse comes, all you need to do is to, based on the land you bought in the metaverse or the office space you bought in the metaverse, you start selling in the metaverse. You understand what I'm saying right now? So as creative professionals, don't just be a service rendering professional, have creative assets. You understand? If you're into training, is your training now online? You understand? Are you evolving with the things that are going on? Can people go on your website and apply for, register logos? Don't just be the brick and mortar graphic artist. The world is already leaving you behind already. MTN literally in Nigeria literally changed their whole brand for the future. You heard that of EcoBank, they've already bought land in the metaverse. These guys are already investing a lot. Please, like he said, as a thought giver, you'll be making a big mistake thinking that, COVID just fastened things up. Once 5G becomes popular, the world just go like, so fast.
0 to 100.
So exactly, from 0 to 100, you just discover that, whoa, I've been left behind. And you now realize that people that are already there. Now, let me just give an experience. I went for, there's this something called creative thought leaders in Nigeria. They had a session last year and this year. And in one of the sessions that they had, just get together where we eat, we drink, thought leaders in the creative professional, top leaders. There's one of my colleagues organized. And while I was there, one of the presentation that was given by one of the sponsors was, and I was shocked, in Nigeria, was a Nigerian that he built a fashion show for the metaverse. So meaning that what, for your avatar, you can actually buy clothes from him already in the metaverse. This was not this year. This was 2021. You understand? And I was shocked that, okay, a Nigerian already presenting a fashion show in the metaverse where in in the metaverse, you can actually buy his clothes already on the metaverse, and it was fully functional. You understand? So he was just doing a display of some of his works and all that, and it was fully functional. And he's just a creative professional. So what we are just basically trying to say is that as creative and tech professional, which is what Mr. Wale Ekundayo is emphasizing on, if you are not there yet, start investing in yourself to get there while still doing your normal day-to-day living, and but make yourself relevant. So I hope I was able to, I'm trying to break it down for our people, basically in their own context, in their own language. All right, so the next question is from Olamiju Bello. He's saying that as a design expert, which I know he is, how can technology be utilized to impact and sway the Nigerian audience? As a design expert, how can technology be used to impact and sway the Nigerian audience?
Okay, so technically, like we have existing tools, which is why. So let me give you an example. As a business owner in a creative space, we typically will get people who do illustration for us, and a lot of people are always excited when they see some of those illustrations and all of that. We realize that with tools that are existing right now, we don't really need. We just need somebody who can manipulate a little bit and put a bit of their self into the thing. So as a design expert, the way you can leverage on technology right now within your tool, and like Mr. Demola said, is the truth about the matter is that we're moving into the 2D and we're going into the 3D section. In fact, people are beginning to look at more advanced dimension, all right, in terms of expression of their creativity. And that's what you need to look at. What are the tools you need? What are the technology needed for you, or you need for you to be able to find expression within your existing skill set? So mandatorily, everybody on my team, by the creative director, is now mandated to not just do graphics, but now to begin to do videos. Not just do videos, manipulate and do all of those things in that direction. It was a what's it called now? It was a mandate, and it was an appraisal issue that everybody within the agency must just, it's not just that you come and just do one graphics and that's the end. We're now doing graphics and videos. How to manipulate those things and combine them to actually bring out more. People get bored by seeing the same thing over and over again. How do you get excitement out of it? It's basically by manipulating and using different aspects of it. And if there's something in existence that creates what it is that you want, then don't recreate it. There's no point in recreating it. All right. If somebody else can do what it is that you want, or it is a technology that is available to do those things, you don't need to recreate it. I hope that helps.
All right. So Mr. Olamiju, he has basically mentioned it to you, basically, that you utilize various technologies that we basically have, and he has mentioned something that is very, very key. Please go into video and animation. Very, very, very key. We are beginning to have people that make things look, I think they call it, I'm trying to remember the exact word. I think they call it live designs. When it's a still graphic, yes, I think it's a still graphic designs, but there are elements moving around it, basically. But it's still. They are moving parts. So I think they're even using now for album launch for musicians and album arts. So those things are just extra things that you basically add. So I think I agree with you that we just, once you see thought leaders doing something, just jump on it immediately. Don't even ask too many questions. You understand? Like a lot of those.
It's just move.
Because a lot of us creative professionals were like, okay, this is a moving, they're just temporary, it's not possible for the world to jump into it, basically, but they're already jumping into it. So I totally agree with you. So please, hope you are learning a lot. Let's drop our questions. Basically, it's very, very important. It's very, very important that we basically drop our questions. So thank you so much for these amazing insights. You definitely opened up our eyes to a lot of things that we are basically not yet seeing, and we're going to start practicing and putting it into light. So now I want to ask you another question, basically. Now you focused on the fact that as creative professionals, we start creating digital assets, whether on the metaverse, leveraging on various technology, or currently even based on our, based on our current technical skills. Now, especially using technology, because we're the last to jump into it. Now, my question right now is, so meaning that we should move from service to start creating products, basically. And I know that your company
moved into that over 5-6 years ago, especially tech products. And as I follow you, there are some people I follow in the industry, which is your, and I attended some of your events behind the scene, and I've listened to, I'm able to steal, when you're saying ABC, I'm reading XYZ of what I'm not saying. So I know about 5-6 years ago, your company didn't stop focusing on services and started moving into products, basically. And I also noticed that you also moved into other industries beyond Nigeria and beyond just creative. I know that, and your company has investments in other areas. I don't want to mention this right now, basically, so that they won't come for you on social media. You understand, in other areas. So I want to ask that as a creative professional that is switching from service to product, how do I know those niche that you mentioned that is marketable? You know, you spoke about aero contractors. They should not focus on this, because it's no longer practical. So how are you able to identify those markets as a creative professionals? You understand that you need to focus, start creating solutions for product-wise, one, then even other industries to even delve with as a creative professional. How are you able to see that niche? How do you see that niche? Like just say, hey, there's a vacuum here. Guys, let's do this. And you just call your meeting and they start thinking of ideation for that. How do you do that, sir?
So technically, one of the first ideation process we did was to get what we call the virtual agency. And we could do the virtual agency from what was in existence, and it was during COVID. All right, a lot of people were copywriters who could write fantastic copies, who could actually do graphics, but they've never been to the four walls of schools and all of that. And actually, we're probably the first agencies that started employing people without any form of certificates, because it's about what you could actually bring to the table. So we said, if we're not doing that, we can actually have a pool of resources of people to come in and do stuff. So, somebody said something about small, medium enterprise, and that's where we're at, all right? So a lot of people who can't pay the type of retainers that you're looking for. So create a product for them that allows them to also enjoy some of the services that a typical multinational would enjoy, but on their scale. So they need graphics, they need social media, they probably need even a lawyer to do some stuff and all of that. They need some basic stuff and all of that. So you can create based on need. You create based on need. You don't create because you have to have a product. You create because now a lot of people, there were a lot of smaller companies who were coming to us, but couldn't afford the the retainer model that we normally would propose, but they still want that same type of model. Now there was a need for that. Aside from the fact that if you've warehoused cash, for instance, as an agency, and you're not using it to fund even most of your businesses, it's time to diversify. So us buying a football club, for instance, was one of the reasons why you warehousing cash, where you can actually use it, plow it back into this, get a stadium, allow people to try, and then sell players abroad. So we sell players to Switzerland, we sell players to different places, in the world that they need specific type of players. So diversification is not you trying to look for something. Something will fit at some point. So it's not that, we have too much cash. What do we begin to do? Because you might actually lose all the cash in the process if you're not very careful as to being intentional, systematic about where you're putting your money in. Because the highest form of investment is in the work of your hands, which means that you must know what it is that you're doing. All right. So the first question is, can I invest in myself? If I can invest in my ideas, then we're good to go. All right. So there are quite a lot of things that we don't just get random ideas. You get ideas as they come to you, very close to you. Never invest in anything you don't understand it. You don't understand the end to end of it. All right. Because it will be premium tiers in the end.
All right. So meaning that what the most important thing is that look for what the needs are, then create products and services for that particular need. So let's say, for example, your strength is in, let's say, schools. You understand, as a creative professional, you see that, okay, schools needs X and Y amount of service. For example, you know that those schools cannot come to Mr. Ekundayo, Celebral Africa, because he has a high retainership. It might be big schools like Corona, Meadow that can meet them. So why don't I create a product for schools around me? You understand? Probably website, social media management, you understand what I'm saying right now, and all that, that would meet them, get 5, 6, 7 schools, write proposals to them, and you already have a niche and a market. You can even basically even go as far as even getting a company that has a school software, and partner with them and start selling those softwares to the spheres of school. And they will know you as what a creative and technological company, but are just outsourcing to various people that do. When they have end of the year party, I'm just thinking about an idea based on what you just said right now. Please, nobody should steal our idea. When they have end of the year events, when they have end of the year events, basically go to a community, get a photographer, you understand, get a printer that will print that end of the year package, and you discover that you're already rendering technological and creative solutions for them, and you just being just one, and you now become an agency basically attending to this need for schools based on the need. You understand? So I think I agree with you, sir. So it's all about what need. Please, if you're going to steal that idea, you need to pay me copyrights basically for sharing the idea. But that's
copyright fees.
Well, copyright fees, intellectual property. That was just sparked up in my head while you were talking. So please, let's start looking for the need around us. That, and I think you are right, sir. Creative professional, just think about, I can design, I can do this. We're not focusing on the business. What is the problem? What's the problem? Then now see how you can now monetize that problem. Then based on your network and your creative solution, how can I create solutions for them? Thank you so much. So like I said, whenever you say A, B, C, D, I see X, Y, Z, basically. and as whether Christian, Muslims, or whatever religion we follow, we know that when you start seeing need, the universe and the world, and you start speaking up those words, we start working together for your good, basically. Thank you so much. Hope we are learning one or two things, basically, for that. So please, if you have any question, once again, like I said, we have we're going to be running up this session in the next 10, 15 minutes. Mr. Ekundayo has another appointment right now, basically, which I'm aware about. So please, let's ensure we unmute our mic during this session. A lot of people are jumping in and their mics are not muted. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Drop your question in the question in the chat section. Is going to be very important. So, Mr. Ekundayo, now this is now my next point in line, basically. Now we've talked about these creative ideas, right? And you're already working on the products. Now you spoke about how as creative professional, we talk about growing your business, and most of what you focus on basically is how to scale from bottom up. Now there's also a place of scaling from top bottom. So I believe that business is scaling from bottom up, meaning that as you get those ideas, you fund those ideas get customers and you grow. You understand? So that's why I'm looking for niche markets, both creative and technological wise, invest on it, you understand? And you grow once your clientele increases. Now I want to talk about top bottom. How as creative professionals or tech professionals do we get investors for our ideas? You understand what I'm saying right now? Because you are, to a large extent, I'm aware that you're also like an investor, an angel investor, that you invested in one or two ideas. But what do you look out for in products that have come? Because we have some tech professionals here who has ideas. In fact, some of them they even have their MVP. You understand what I'm saying right now? Already created. You understand? But what do you as an investor look forward to, and what advice will you give to tech professionals, sir?
Okay, so one of the first things I look out for when it comes to investing in anybody's idea is how much the person has invested in his own idea. All right. So if you are listening to people and they're just looking for money, and this is the situation that probably most Nigerians find themselves, and they're looking for venture capitalists to invest in them, but they haven't invested a dime in their own idea, then you know that they are not serious. So the first thing I look out for is, have you invested in your own idea? Because if all you're asking me for is money, then I'm not gonna budge on that. Number two is that, have you done a test run of this idea, or you're just living in la la land? Because a lot of people are in that same space. They just feel that it's a fantastic idea, it will sell, it will work, and then they've not done a survey, So we did something for Maven Records, and it was quite an eye-opener. So we had done like a survey for them, because they felt that all of the artists are a banger. And then we took a lot of people, to ask them questions. Do you know this song? Do you know? Let me give you a classic example. And I think young people actually gas themselves up on a number of things, because I work with a lot of young people. So we went to air contractors, and they had come up with a proposition. That's my team had come up with a proposition, all right, about a fantastic proposition about something that would work and all of that and all of that. So they suggested, what's it called, Johnny Drill as their brand ambassador. And so they played the song, How Are You, My Friend? And nobody knows it. And they were shocked. And I said to them, I said to them, I intentionally kept quiet that you will see that you are living in your world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are living in their own world, thinking that everybody knows what they know because it's popular. And then you see, this thing was trending. The fact that it's trending, there are people who don't, and these are the people who carry the cash.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be, they're not on TikTok, they don't have nothing, they don't have anything to do with technology. They don't, in fact, the only thing they use their phone for is phone calls, and that's all. Not even a text message. So it goes to show that when you're investing in an idea, you are looking for a critical mass. Any idea that you're looking for a critical mass. If you cannot find a critical mass, it's just your own idea. You're just enjoying yourself by yourself. And so when you begin to tell yourself that reality, and that's what I do. So if I look at something, for instance, and somebody comes and says, this thing is going to blow. Yes, that's you saying it's going to blow. Have you tested the market? Because if you show me the empirical numbers, there are so many things that I thought that would blow that did not blow. There are things that I thought that would never blow, and then they blew. So how do you measure? You measure with people. You have to constantly use people as your measuring stick. Have you done a deep stick on this thing? Have you gone to ask people, all right, that what do they think? Now, people can be nice to you and say, yes, it's fantastic. But can you tell them to put their money where their mouth is? If you can show me the numbers, then we're good to go. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
so that's how you invest. You invest not in emotions. You don't invest because it's a fantastic idea. You invest because you know that this thing has the potential to scale. This thing has the potential for growth. That's all.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Please, do we have another question? I'm giving room, or anybody wants to ask Mr. Ekundayo a question, you can just raise up your hand. We'll just give you the floor. So ask him now. You can all now see why I emphasize on the fact that what Mr. Ekundayo is someone that I respect so much with basic wealth of knowledge. So what investors majorly always look for is have you put your money where your mouth is? And then also basically have you run a test? But I'm so shocked. Maven Record. A lot of people didn't know their artists. Well, I think personally speaking, I just know 3 of the artists, Arya Star, and I think like 2 or 3 other artists basically that I know the songs that they sing. But I think those other new upcoming acts, you're right, a whole lot of people don't know. Now, beyond them even knowing, like I said, there's a particular generation that know them. You get what I'm saying? And I feel Arya Star caters more for the teens, which is
but those guys, they don't have cash. They just like them. They don't have. They don't. So I mean, if even the concerts,
they can't give them brand endorsements.
Exactly. So even if it's just a case of, and I keep saying to people that story, we had worked on what's called Honeywell brand, and people would dance Honeywell noodles, bam bam la la, and then they go and buy Indomie. So so you can have a fantastic jingle, you can have all those things. Those are not the yardstick for people buying anything. You are just in your own world, happy, but when it comes to numbers, you will not get those numbers. And if you don't get those numbers, you're not going to be in business. You're not going to be in business because numbers is the name of the game.
Mm. So creative professionals and technologists, are you listening? Let's stop being in a cloud 9 of how brilliant our design is. It's all about the money. Do you get me now? Because that's what's going to grow your business. Please, you need to be doing what we call the research. A lot of people are learning a lot already. So someone is asking a question. So what is the practical step to ensuring you get the right people, sir? So he's saying that what is the practical step, best step-by-step method to ensuring you get the right people for your product and also the right investors? What are the practical steps, sir?
Okay, so first of all, to get the right people for your products, is first of all, you have to move away from your family members, like your circle of influence, all right? Because people within your influence don't want to hurt you. They don't want to tell you the truth. It's almost like somebody who sings in the bathroom and everybody's like, you have a fantastic voice and all of that. They just want to give you moral support, and that's where it ends. if you really want to test anything, move away from your circle of influence and go to a neutral who does not have to affect your emotions or anything. Now, if you want to get any investor to be on board with you, show them that you have put your money inside the thing. That's the truth. If I've put my money into it and I've seen, you've gotten some returns and you're trying to, scale the thing, then you need to show them that you have skin in the game. That's what they call it. You've got to show that I have skin in the game. You know, there's a gentleman who, let me not mention the name of the company. It was the CEO of the company, maybe some 2 or 5 years ago. And then he started buying shares in the company. You can see clearly that it's not just the CEO because he wants to come and run away. He wants to be the CEO, is the CEO because he knows that this company will become something huge in the future. And so he started buying the shares, and you can see the move, a deliberate move of that. So investors will see that move, and they themselves, they don't know what they are seeing, but they start buying too. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So first of all, getting the right set of people in your environment to test your product is to go to a neutral. Make sure you're talking to neutral people, just random people. In fact, you don't have to say it's you. You know, back then, I mean, I don't know if it still happens. When I go into the mall, some people will be carrying CDs of their music, running after you. Say, bros, I just produced this CD. Please listen to it. You cannot get anybody to listen to anything like that. If they give you cash, it's just out of sympathy. It can't be that, because, I mean, do they beg Davido? Does Davido beg people to listen to their music? All right? People are queuing for that. Apple does not beg anybody to come and buy their product. All right? They've created a pattern over a long period of time. And so whatever it is that you believe in, ensure that it has a mass appeal, all right? Not everybody will like it, but at least it has a mass appeal to a certain extent, to a certain degree, and then you scale.
All right, thank you so very much, sir. So meaning that what as creative and tech professional, whichever ideas we have, we should create what we call a focus group outside our current network. So a focus group of people that will tell us the truth, that really don't know much about us, about our brand, about what we are or who we are, and will basically tell you what the truths. And I believe that a lot of people, especially the country of Nigeria, West Africa, they're always open to doing that, basically, just to help whichever ideas we have. Thank you so very much. You don't know how much. Someone dropped in the chat session, he says that I don't have any questions because the information that was shared there is so deep. So he wants to thank you, Mr. Wale, because he said he still wants to go and ruminate on it. So for everybody that attended this session and you dropped your email address, we're going to be sharing Mr. Wale Ekundayo's slide. And also, as much as I usually don't always like encouraging this, by tomorrow, this video is going to be uploaded on YouTube, so you can always rewatch it to really disseminate the information, because once people know you upload on YouTube, they may not attend. Basically. And the reason why we're uploading on YouTube is that at the beginning of this session, Mr. Wale gave some very deep insights that you have to rewatch and rewatch again to basically understand. You understand? They were so deep that even I myself, because my team organized this, I'll actually rewatch this before we upload on YouTube. Thank you. All right, Mr. Wale, thank you so much for your time on behalf of the ACE Creative community, because we know very much that you have another meeting you get that is very, very important. I know that's why we had to move this meeting to 2 o'clock because of your schedule, and we had to have you here. I know after the you're going to hibernate and dash out basically for. So thank you so very much for the time. We appreciate you. The community really appreciates you, and I'm going to use the opportunity to invite you for our conference that is coming up in December, Drive Conference. I've told you that you're going to be one of our major speakers, where we also have thought to give us both locally and globally that are also going to be speaking for the events. It's going to be a buffet, and it's going to be a major event in Lagos, Nigeria, a tech and creative and tech conference. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. And my regards to everybody. And we thank you for what you're doing in the industry, how you're mentoring young people. I know some of the people that work in your organizations, and I know that they are more of younger generation. You understand what I'm saying right now? I follow you on Instagram, your company, and I see that we have a lot of young bloods working for you. So thank you for what you're doing to support the industry so much. People are dropping their email address, so don't worry. I've seen these email addresses. We're going to share it for you. On behalf of ACE Creative community, we want to say a big thank you for teaching us how to grow your creative and tech business. So, sir, I'm going to be releasing you once again.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.
Really, really appreciate it, sir. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Wale Ekundayo actually holds a very important position somewhere that I don't want to mention. And they have a meeting today that I had to literally beg him and pull him to come here, even move the schedule of this meeting so as to, for us to have him. And I believe that you can all see the reason why we basically invited him here. So like I said earlier on, if you want to be part, we're seeing all your email addresses. I'm going to copy them after this session so we can share this with you. Like I said earlier on, basically that if you want to join our creative community where you get a lot of information, I'm trying to pull out that link for you. Don't worry, we're running up. I promise you that we're not going to take so much of the time. This is Saturday in major parts of the world, except locations like Australia. So basically for you to join our academy, our community, I'm going to be pulling out that for you right now. Sorry, I have multiple screens that I'm working with over here. So I'm going to be dropping on the chat box right now. So please ensure you join this link to join the WhatsApp community, and ensure you join this second link right now that I'm dropping. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, just look at the section below this video. We're going to be dropping the link there right now. Now, for those of you that are attending tomorrow's session, you don't need to register. It's a practical session where we're going to be having Bolua Tifesh is going to come to my take on brand identity. Please ensure that you have Adobe Illustrator installed on your system. That's what she's going to be using to train. Even if you don't have Adobe installed on your system, don't worry, come attend so that you can see our step-by-step method. Then after the meeting, we're going to be uploading on YouTube for our community members to basically watch. Now, for you to join the video, I've dropped the link on the chat system. So just copy the link and store somewhere on your mobile phone. Why? Because tomorrow's session, you don't need to register. All you have to do that once it's 5 o'clock or 10 minutes to 5, we'll start the session. Just click on the link and you can start the session. Well, you're going to be joining the session straight. Please, this event is a 2-part series, which we started last week, in which I taught on how to, design thinking. And we had this week's session in which Mr. Wale Ekundayo came to speak about how to grow your creative and tech business. And tomorrow by 5 p.m., Bolua Tifesh is going to be talking about understanding brand identity. All these things are key for you to get started for 2023. I'm sure that you had an amazing time. Thank you so much for everybody that came in. The attendance today was very, very remarkable. I appreciate every community members that joined. We are doing all this because of you. ACE Creative Academy and ACE Creative Community was created to provide relevant information and knowledge, and also to drive relevant conversations that will make creative and tech professionals relevant in the creative and tech community, both locally and globally. So we do all we can to give you all the relevant information, all the relevant knowledge that you need to be relevant and sought after in the creative and tech ecosystem. Follow us on our various social media and do ACE Academy NG, on Twitter, on Facebook, ACE Academy NG, while on Instagram, ACE Academy_NG. Now, when you follow us on those handles, that's where you get our latest information on updates. Also follow us on our Telegram, join our Telegram and WhatsApp group. And in those particular groups, what we do is that every second Sunday in the month, we have what we call a Critique My Work. Then every last Sunday this year, we're going to be having events like this, which is going to be holding every last Sunday. We're going to be bringing thought givers, both locally and globally, in the creative and tech ecosystem, that will come to come and speak to everybody in the community and also everybody in the creative and tech ecosystem in Nigeria, West Africa, and also all around the world. So please follow us, because we have wonderful, wonderful packages for you from now to December. Our passion and our dream is to work along with you as you grow in your creative journey, such that in the next 5-6 years, we're going to be having top professionals in our community that are doing fantastically well, not locally, but globally. So we're already taking major move in the global space to ensure that we also get other global opportunities for our members. Now, so our members have shared some of the things that they need us to teach on, which we're already working on to ensure that is accomplished. This last Sunday in February, which information we're going to be sharing, we're going to be having an amazing lecture like this in which you can learn from. So please follow our social media handles, join the community, and you get what I'm saying right now, so you can leverage what's on this. And if you need physical trainings, go to our website. Mr. Anu is going to be sharing that right now. Mr. Anu, please share the website. He's going to be sharing that right now. Go to our website, which is located in Lagos, Nigeria. When you go to the website, you can take any of our courses in ACE Creative Academy and start your creative and tech journey. Thank you so much for your time on trying to share the website. Thank you so much for your time once again. Really appreciate you for coming. Like I always say that even though this is a free event, the currency that has been given to us to fulfill our purpose and make impact on Earth is our time. So even though this is a free event, the time that we have given is a currency that we've paid to get the impact and the information that we need to be relevant and sought after as a creative and tech professional. Thank you for coming. And like we always say, please continue your ACE game, continue to get the ACE factor and be that ACE factor that is needed in your work and also to make impacts in the world at large. Thank you so much for coming. Do have a great time. So we'll meet in our next session, which is on Sunday, last Sunday of this month. Have a great time and please keep being you, keep being the impact you have, and please keep rendering those fantastic solutions and services you do for your various clientele and customer, and keep growing and keep being big in everything that you do. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for coming. Cheers.